Well, President Trump's stance on a number of issues, including NATO to China and Russia, among just a few, have evolved, some say, since Election Day, drawing heavy attention from the media. They're watching and reporting it, and so is Sarah Westwood. She is the White House correspondent for the Washington Examiner, and she joins us now. So, Sarah, I've read some of your coverage, and I want to get into some of those issues that he has evolved in. But first and foremost, I want to get your feeling from your reporting on some of the dynamics that are happening behind the scenes as we watch this administration take shape.
We are seeing some tension between the various ideological wings within the White House. On the one hand, you have some centrist or even left-leaning people. These voices include Jared Kushner, Gary Cohn,
his daughter,
Dina Powell, his daughter. Right, these are people who have advised Trump to moderate some of these tougher positions. And then on the other side of the ideological divide, you have people like Steve Bannon, Stephen Miller, Sebastian Gorka, who are more populist and who do hold these more conservative values and want President Trump to stick closer to the literal translation of what he proposed on the campaign trail. And there's inherent tension between those two camps that's been spilling out into the headlines lately, and that palace intrigue has started to distract from the actual substance of what they're doing, so it's clear that President Trump has wanted to put that to bed.
So you're gathering that it is a distraction, because I'm wondering if that is part of his tactic, to have an array of opinions, to have a very dynamic staff, if you will, people surrounding him. Is that all negative?
Well, that is part of his MO, right? He likes to have dissenting voices so that he can get a broad range of opinions and make the best decision. When it becomes a problem is when the infighting overshadows the product of the input that's taking place behind the scenes. And that's when it starts to become an issue for the White House. It's good for them to have that internal debate, but when it's playing out on the nightly news and in selective leaks, then they start to wonder if it's an effective tactic.
I want to ask you what issues, because you had a piece out and there was 11 issues that you felt like he has evolved on or flipped on, and specifically even some this week. I want to ask you, what issues do you think are getting hit the hardest by these dissenting voices? Is it, you know, the tax issue coming up? Is it the immigration coming up? Is it how we handle Russia? What is getting impacted by these different voices?
Well, we have seen some significant reversals in these past 80-some-odd days. One of the most significant was a complete reversal on DACA. It was an Obama-era immigration executive order that President Trump promised to remove immediately. It looks like he's going to leave it intact. We've seen a shift on taxes.
But he did also say that was one of the hardest decisions.
It was one of the hardest decisions, but that shows you that he is being pulled in different directions by his advisors. It was a promise that he'd made on the campaign trail to repeal these executive orders. Then once he got into office, he realized the realities of what that would mean for Dreamers, and he encountered some of that dissent internally from Ivanka, from Jared, from some of these more centrist voices that are within his White House. And you're seeing that play out especially in foreign policy, because he is pursuing these more hawkish strategies. We've seen that the bomb in Afghanistan, obviously, we've seen in Syria. He's positioning the U.S. military in North Korea, and that's all a product of some of these more traditionally conservative voices that he does have, like H.R. McMaster, principally his national security advisor. He is being pulled away from the more non-interventionist foreign policy that he laid out on the campaign trail.
But he also did lay out strength by, he had said strength by force, if I'm not mistaken. So he is following through on a lot of things that he said he would follow through on.
Exactly. He definitely is. And there was always inherent tension between his non-interventionist America First strategy, but also promising to rebuild the military and promising peace through strength and promising all of these shows of force, because he thought that the Obama administration weakened America in the eyes of the world, and he promised to restore that image of strength. That was always a little bit at odds with his non-interventionist foreign policy, and we're seeing that play out in the responses to his latest moves.
Real quickly, perhaps not unusual for an administration in the first 100 days to evolve like this.
Absolutely. It's normal to have growing pains when you encounter the realities of governing to shift some of your positions. As long as he stays true to his core promises of border security and creating jobs, then he will stay in good favor with his base.
All right. Excellent. Sarah Westwood, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.